When you launch Blender, you'll see a pop-up like this every time. Select the General option for a new file to enter Blender's workspace. If you are using Blender for the first time, let's go through the setup process directly. Click on the Edit tab in the upper left corner of the screen and then open Preferences at the very bottom. Once the Preferences window is open, make sure Interface is selected from the items on the left. Since the text size may still be small and difficult to read, adjust the resolution scale value to around 1.4. This will enlarge the text, making it easier to read. You can adjust this value to whatever is most comfortable for your screen size. After adjusting the text size, go to the Key Map section and check the box next to Tab for Pie menu. This allows you to switch between different work modes using the Tab key on your keyboard. More details will be covered later in the tutorial. Next, go to the System section. By default, the Cycles Rendered Devices are set to None. Change this to CUDA, and your computer's graphics card and CPU names will appear. Check them both. This setting will be necessary for the rendering configurations discussed in the final chapter of this tutorial. If your keyboard does not have a numpad, check the Emulate Numpad option under the Input section. This allows you to use the number keys on your keyboard as a numpad. Finally, don't forget to save the changes you've made. You can save from the hamburger menu in the lower left corner. Additionally, enable Auto Save Preferences for automatic saving each time you make changes. Next, let's explain the basic interface of the screen. The main operational area in the center of the screen is called the 3D viewport. This is where you'll carry out all object-related operations, from modeling to sculpting. The upper left side of the screen is the header menu. As you used it to set preferences, this menu is where you can perform basic operations related to Blender. To the right of that is the workspace bar, with various icons. Clicking on each will change the screen layout to fit different workflows, as predetermined by Blender. The toolbar on the left side of the 3D viewport contains tools useful for modeling. The content of the toolbar changes depending on the mode. Toggle it on and off with the T key. Press the N key as well to open a side menu from the right that contains tabs summarizing object details and various functions. The remaining icons in the viewport allow for detailed settings and actions on objects. These will be explained further in the tutorial. In the upper right portion of the screen, you'll find the outliner. This displays all objects present in the 3D viewport. You can group objects, control visibility, and more. Below that is the Properties panel, where you can access various advanced settings. We've now covered the basic interface of Blender. Although the multitude of features may be overwhelming at first, you'll become familiar with them and understand their functionalities as you work through different tasks. Next, we will learn basic operations on objects. Select the cube on the screen and press the G key. You can now move the cube. Pressing the X key while moving will constrain the movement along the X-axis. Similarly, you can constrain movement along the Y-axis by pressing the Y key and along the Z-axis by pressing the Z key. Click to confirm the position. To reset the object's location to the origin, press Alt-G. Next, select the cube and press the R key to rotate it. Pressing R twice in quick succession will allow for free rotation relative to your view. You can constrain rotation to the X-axis by pressing R followed by X, to the Y-axis by pressing R followed by Y, and to the Z-axis by pressing R followed by Z. Reset the rotation angle with Alt-R. For scaling, press the S key, drag to adjust the size, and click to confirm when you reach the desired size. Similarly, you can scale the object along the X-axis by pressing X, the Y-axis by pressing Y, and the Z-axis by pressing Z. You can reset the scale to its default by pressing Alt-S. Next, press the Tab key to bring up the Pie menu and select Edit Mode. In Edit Mode, you can edit the vertices, edges, and faces of the object. Try selecting a vertex and performing the previously explained actions. Only the selected vertex will be affected. Use the three icons at the top left to switch between vertex, edge, and face selection modes. By changing the selection method, you can individually manipulate the vertices, edges, or faces of the object. Next, let's look at using a pen tablet. Follow along while practicing these actions. For pen tablet navigation, all operations are performed without touching the pen tip to the tablet surface. Use the base of your palm as a pivot point to make the movements easier. First, try dragging with the middle mouse button to rotate around the central point on the screen. Shift plus middle click and drag to pan the view. Control plus middle click and drag to zoom in and out. Finally, Alt plus middle click and drag will move the view vertically along the X and Y axes. This action is less intuitive, so I personally don't use it often. These pen tablet operations are not numerous, but mastering them will help you shift your perspective efficiently while working. Practice these until you become comfortable with them. Finally, we'll cover how to save your work. Failing to do this will result in losing your progress, so save your data frequently. Select Save from the File menu to specify the save location and file menu, then click the Save button. The shortcut key for this is Ctrl-S. To open saved data next time, select Open from the File menu or press the Ctrl-O shortcut key.